Aloha. Today I wanted to address the Pope, not address the Pope, but talk about what happened yesterday, September 23rd, 2015, how they had the Pope at the White House, how they had CERN running its crazy tests, and the whole coding that goes on there. So basically how I observed it is that ultimately what's going on right now with the presidential debate, the presidential okie doke that's going on right now, is they're playing with energy. So there's oceans of energy. There's an ocean of energy right now. Well, just period. That the people of this planet, that 7 billion people on this planet, pay into when they wake up every morning and when they swim in their dreams. And every angle is covered, all the bases are covered, when you realize that commercials, music, movies, all this is designed to flicker rate your space, to remove your connection to your dreams. And when you're awake, the things that we hear, the thoughts that we hear, the projections that so-called leaders put out there are basically the codings for how we observe our physical reality and how we interact within our physical reality, how we interact with our children, how we educate our children, how we become elders, or how we understand wisdom and the difference between wisdom and knowledge, and understanding the difference between religion and spirituality. So all these codes are out here. All this is energy, and it flickers, it adjusts in every interaction that we have. It goes up and down from our own individual observation, reflections, interaction, along with a universal creation, like a universal frequency up and downness that goes with, just like the weather goes up and down, the seasons go up and down, the stars in the sky change, the sun and the moon. All this stuff is part of this coding. So there's no mistake that on the same day the Pope, the so-called most he's programmed in the collective as the most religious individual, or whatever kind of frequency. So if he's a frequency and you tie in religion into a frequency, he's like one of the most paid attention to dudes on this planet that involved. So there's a lot of people focusing their energy into that individual, and to have that individual show up at the tippy top of the pyramid for destruction, which is the White House, on the same day that they're testing a potentially destructive machine that's 17 miles, almost 17 miles long. And they're playing with energies. They don't know what's gonna happen. They're like little science project kids playing with big ass toys, big expensive toys that is ultimately founded in ancient technology. Like, they're just bringing in old stuff and trying to turn it into something that they can make money off of to control more people. Just like these ideas that the Pope and Obama and all the other politicians that are running for president, and they're all selling ideas to get people on their teams. Like, yeah, join this team, join this idea, and pay your energy into this frequency, and then you'll be able to, do whatever it is that we tell you is possible. So what they're selling right now is all this stuff that they're coming out with, trying to like close prisons and abolish. That's what the Pope was talking about, abolishing the death penalty all over the planet. close the prison, close the corporate prisons. Bernie Sanders talking about anything that Bernie Sanders is talking about, everybody else is gonna have to eventually start talking about, so, and do. So he's basically like the dude. He's like the salesperson for socialism, and then everybody else, whoever gets elected to be the next president or president asterisk, like whatever they come out with, their new leader or their new system, it's not going to be for the benefit of the masses. It's just going to be another deeper layer of control, and hidden by things that shouldn't have been in place in the first place. Like all the way the prisons got all crazy, that's not by mistake. The way politics is run, the way war is driven, the way poverty is driven, the way the food is driven. You know, this is all codes that have known, like they know, like if that's a computer, if they're all computers, somebody had to code that computer. If it's a book, somebody had to write that book. Somebody had to think about the storyline of how it's going to play out on that book. All that stuff has entities or beings in the beginning of those books, seeing like the later on in the years, like the beginning of Obamacare, and seeing what was going to happen with that later on in the years, and planting seeds at this time, just like the Nobel Peace Prize was given to Obama in the beginning of his presidential time. And we're in 2 wars at that time frame, in 2008 or 9. We were in 2 wars at that time frame, basically just imploding all of these things and creating a system of like a bank system. Like you pay into that bank, and then you don't know why you're thinking that he's a good guy or peaceful or all this other stuff. And it's because these ideas get implanted in there. So the Pope is there he was there yesterday to sell. He's basically just like Bernie Sanders is the fall guy, and Trump is a deeper fall guy. He's like, Bernie Sanders is the good fall guy, the so-called good fall guy, and Donald Trump is like the bad fall guy. So there's always these fall guys so they can bring in their superhero next. And even that superhero is going to sell some things, the same things that the good fall guy was talking about, but he's going to be selling things that might look beneficial for you, and they might feel beneficial for you, but they're not for your benefit, because you will be given another system of powerlessness and hopelessness, because you will submit to owners. Still, that's the main thing. That's why these sales pitches are coming out right now with all the politicians talking about stuff, because they need to sell something in order to cover up all the information that's coming out right now about how jacked up it was and is right now, and is moving in to be with all these. Check out all the executive orders I just saved on the information playlist on my channel, YouTube channel. Executive Order 13603. Dick Gregory was talking about this, and I did some more looking into it, and just look into that and see like the deeper layers of enslavement that are going on, that get sold in at these certain time frames. So yeah, like so I'll go back to the Pope and what he was talking about. So the Pope, he was doing there talking about all that stuff at the White House to distract from what was going on in Switzerland and in the CERN stuff. He was also there to balance out the energies that they didn't know that they were getting into. So they wanted to amplify the positive vibes on the planet and all this other stuff to protect their asses from playing with interdimensional portals and gateways and stuff with the Hadron Collider and that whole thing. So these are all like balances that get put out there that they play with in order to cover themselves. So Obama was out there. The whole time Obama's been in office, they still haven't played the Obama card yet. That's the whole thing. That's another thing to this yet. They've been holding out on. He's the closer. Like he's like he was the pitch man when he was elected to president. They want you to focus on black and white and just say, oh yeah, everything's great now. When he got elected up, it went from white to black. Now everything's saved. Now, got you that first time. Now that he's in there, it's just gonna sell even a deeper layer of what Bush was doing all the way up until keep selling ideas, keep selling hope. So he was selling hope, and you got hope for 8 years. And then when that 8 years come up, that's when they're gonna hit with the closing picture. So now he's coming in with and is coming up to the lame duck sort of time frame, getting ready to sell whatever it is that they've been prepping all this time. So it's like a cake that is made out of shit, and they just want to cover it up. They want to sell an icing. They want to put that icing around that shit cake towards the last part of the years, and then just hand it. You're like, oh, we got this magic cake. I'm gonna eat this cake. You eat that cake, it's smallpox in that cake. It's freaking smallpox in that cake. See, because all this so-called good stuff that Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and all these people are talking about, this is why they want to make it, they had Trump out there to make this so-called good stuff look good. Make it look even better when they got Trump out there selling a wall, like the most racist ass ideas and all this other stuff, as if he has the anything to say what needs to be happening. With this is Mexican land right now. All the shit that he got, that all his casinos and all that shit in Vegas and all those other buildings and hotels, that's straight up Mexico. Like how that's the deeper layer. That's how far they gotta sell this stuff in order to sell and keep like an illusion going. So one of the main things that the Pope was talking about was abolishing the death penalty. This is because they don't want themselves to be subject to the death penalty when all this information gets mainstream. That's why. So he's there to sell forgiveness, and that whole idea of forgiveness. But basically, they're just trying to cover their asses. Another thing he said, the wording when he was talking about the Native Americans and how this is the land of the free, home of the brave, and he was talking about history. And he was saying, you ought to watch the terminology there, the words and how they're designed. His words were, we can't look at the past with eyes of the present day. Which is basically, so he was speaking in reference to the Native Americans and what Christopher Columbus and all the people who came over here and just straight up destroyed this country. That was basically saying, you know what, get over it. So they like invite these softies in there to sell the deepest, most jacked up frequencies under the guise of, you know, like religion, and it's sold under religion, but there's nothing spiritual there. It maxes out. Religion maxes out at religion. And then once you want to talk to a universal creator, once you want to speak to the creator of all that is, outside of the limitations of religion, that's for control. Those are boxes to control large groups of people, and training environments for them to learn themselves and get out of that own destructive pattern. That's that whole thing. So he's addressing that frequency. The spiritual spaces exist when you express and you inhabit that universal creator, and understand that moment, and understand that space, that source in everything. It's in everything. So these are layers of control that are getting installed at certain times and certain, you know, everything is involved. The sun, the moon, the weather, like so this is also on the autumnal equinox. So don't think this is all like mistakes. You know, this is all part of, you know, most people already are aware of this stuff, but I just wanted to share the codes that I was seeing in the day and how certain things are being. So had Joe Biden behind the Pope, and the other guy, he's supposed to be the bad guy, and this is the good guy. You can watch their facial expressions and how they're adjusting to what the Pope's saying, how he's saying what he's saying. Basically, that was all I wanted to say. Get out there my perspective on the 23rd, because it was such an intense day. So I'll leave it there, and until next time, thank you for joining me, and peace, love, and harmony.